And welcome to our Thursday lunchtime organ recital from the balcony here at First Presbyterian Church, featuring our incredible Fisk organ, Opus 98, completed in 1991. We have entered the Easter season, and so it seems appropriate to explore some of the themes of Easter that we've been looking forward to for many months. We were planning on singing in a couple of weeks all of Bach's Cantata No. 4, Christ lag in Todesbunden, with a small orchestra here with the choir. That's not going to happen, as you can imagine, on May the 3rd. But what I thought it might be interesting to do would be to connect that with the melody which was the basis of the postlude on Easter Sunday, which was the Victime Pascali, played the improvisation by Tournemire based on that. So, Christ lag in Todesbunden is based on the same melody, but it changed over the centuries from being chant to being more metrical over a period of decades. So, you may recall on Sunday I sang Christians to the Paschal Victim, etc., etc. So here we are with Christ lag in Todesbunden, and now in German, Christ lag in Todesbunden, für unser Sünd gegeben, der ist wieder erstanden und hat uns bracht das Leben, des wir sollen fröhlich sein, Gott loben und dankbar sein und singen Halleluja, Halleluja. So you can hear there's a lot of similarity that the Christ lag in Todesbunden melody is very, very strongly based on the Victime Pascali. So, I'm going to play 3 or 4 versions of this by different composers through the years. The first is by the German composer Samuel Scheidt, who was born in 1507 and died in 1654, and he played the organ at the Müritzkirche in Halle. And what you will hear is that the melody is still got that modal feel to it. Later on we'll hear Bach go, Christ lag in Todesbunden, sort of raising that 7th scale degree, da, da, da. But here, back in Mr. Scheidt's day, it was still modal, da, 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 da. So this is a 4-part version. It's basically a harmonization with a few added interest notes in 4 parts. And I'm going to play it on the great principal chorus, the 8, the 4, and the 2, and I'm going to vary things a little bit as we explore the chorus over here. dance-like setting by Friedrich Wilhelm Zacher. We're moving a little bit closer to Bach here. He was born in 1663 and died in 1712, and he also lived and worked in Halle at the Marienkirche. And this is a three-voice dance, and the melody still has that modal flavour. I'm going to add the 12th and the 17th. A friend of mine across town recently did a wonderful explanation of how the chorus is put together. And what we have is a root note, and that pipe is actually a D, so it's just under 8 feet long, 4 feet long, 2 2/3, call it 3, and you'll hear that that's an octave and a fifth above the basic note. A 2-foot pipe, and this one is 1 3/5. And it gives it a wonderful nasal quality. Often when I'm registering this organ, I use these two mutations, the 12th and the 17th, to act as another supplemental reed chorus. So here's a 3-part dance based on Kriegslag in Todesbanden by Zacher. We move forward a few more years. Here is a 4-part fugetta by Johann Caspar Ferdinand Fischer, and he was born in 1650. So we're getting a little bit closer to the birth of Bach, and he died in 1746. And he worked at the Markgräfliche Kapelle. He was the Markgräfliche Kapellmeister in Baden. So a slight change here again to the chorus. We've got the 8-foot, the 4-foot, the 2-foot, and we have an 8-foot mixture as well. Now, the melody is changing, and you'll now hear the more tonal based, the second note is a half step higher. second to the great Johann Sebastian Bach, born in 1685 and who died in 1750. This is the famous setting from the Orgelbuchlein, and it's got way more going on in it than any one of the three pieces which we've heard so far. There's more symbolism in terms of the interior movements. There's the motion in the pedal line and accompaniment figures pervades the entire piece. If you have the first note, the higher note, the lower note, and you come back to the first note again, they make the shape of a cross. So every beat has this musical symbolism in it. And fabricated further out of that, the opening pedal gesture has this rolling down the pedal board, literally rolling the stone away from the tomb. There's various other things hidden in there as well, but that's probably enough to be going on. So here we'll have the full 16-foot chorus, which, by the way, on this particular instrument adds an extra rank in it. You'll hear it come on. So here's the mixture on its own at 8-foot pitch. That's the 5 1/3. And there's the 16-foot rank in the facade. On the repeat of the first phrase, I will add the 17th for that extra pungency and excitement. If you're interested in hearing a little bit more about how that piece is put together and its symbolism, check out a piece broadcast on BBC Radio 3 on Easter Sunday called Music Matters, where the Bach expert John Butt talks in some detail and plays an absolutely beautiful performance of this very piece. As our Easter season continues, we will search out more settings of Easter chorales and more settings that Bach also made for the pipe organ based on Christlag in Todesbanden. But let's explore other spring-like themes. I thought it might be quite nice to play The Cuckoo by Louis-Claude Daquin. It's that time of year when the birds are squawking and... oh, wait a minute, that's this one. So, this is a little rondo. That means the same tune or sequence of harmony keeps coming around again and again. And it's a really charming little piece. And I will use our harmonic flute. This is the arrangement by E. Power Big, so it's probably not exactly the way Daquin left it, but close enough and very jolly for us this spring season. And now we move to America, and a composer called William Selby, who lived in the bulk of the 18th century from 1738, dying in 1798. And he was originally born in England, but he moved to Rhode Island at the age of 8. And he became quite an interesting and prominent musician. And one of his claims to fame nowadays is that he put on a concert of sacred music in Boston, one of the very first to feature works by Bach and Handel and himself. This is a little fugue, or voluntary, and it kind of actually has some of the same character as the cuckoo, which we just heard, although it doesn't have a cuckoo in it, but it's just got the same feel, and I thought it would work well. So here we're going to use the great 8-foot chorus with the 12th, as this would have been a sort of basic full organ sound of the day in the 18th century in Boston. So the pieces I played today actually were not exactly what I had in mind when I was planning out my Thursday recitals. To save a bit of money during the current crisis, and because there's nobody else around, we turned off the heating here at First Presbyterian Church about a month ago, and today it's quite nippy in here. But I'm going to play the last piece, which I did have in mind, which is the Toccata by the modern American composer John Weaver. I thank my daughter, Elena, for coming over to help me with the stops and pages, and hope you enjoy this very festive toccata, very suitable for Eastertide, I think. Highly jolly.